If you have a word and shadow die, you can make a shaker. Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and the craft/dining room. Today I have a quick shaker project for you using a word die and a shadow layer together in a card to make a shaker, but the best part, you're gonna get a bonus card out of the shaker innards. So to see that easy shaker card project and bonus card, stick around. It's coming up next.
It's possible I appeared.
We're keeping it. Here's a look at the shaker card I'll be sharing in today's video, and this is such an easy shaker card idea if you have any word die and shadow layer. Plus, you get a leftover card from the leftovers. All right, let's jump in and take a look at the products I'm using today. I'm using the Let's Celebrate die, a paintbrush, some Tim Holtz Watercolor Distress Cardstock, and Distress Watercolor pencils. I've really been loving playing with these since I got them. I have this really cool holder that's not available right now, but hopefully OrganizeMore, the company that made this, are going to start firing those up again. Foam tape is needed, and we're going to use the Brutus Monroe Stick and Stamp Mat just to stick my paper down. Now I'm going to paint on the smooth side. I change my mind depending on the project, but sometimes I want a smoother feel, so I put the toothy textured side down, and now all we're gonna do is scribble. Scribble. This has gotta make you feel good. If you think you're not like a painter, you can scribble, right? It takes you back. It takes you back to those kindergarten days when you were really good at scribbling and maybe someone in your class said, that's not very good. And then you didn't want to be creative again. That was me. I did not think I was a very creative person when I was a youngster because I couldn't draw. But I can scribble and then do this, which is just take some water. I've got 2 jars here. One's just out of the range of view. And bring wetness to the paper and blend out where I have scribbled. Now it was very deep down at the end there with the crackling campfire and the picked raspberry, but it started to soften up a little. And these really do move on the paper. It's kind of surprising. It's a very different type of medium that I am working with. I'm not as familiar with them as maybe I am just the regular distress inks. But the thing that I love is I know these colors, and I love distress ink colors, and they are all such a spot-on match that there is a sense of familiarity when you're working with these. So I'm just blending it out a little bit more with a little more water, just working it, and that's why this cardstock is so nice too, because it can take a lot of water. And then I'll just grab my Ranger Heat It tool and work my way around. I actually decided to take it off the stick and stamp mat because I didn't know if it was a good idea to heat on that thing. So picked it up and just hastened the drawing a little. It's not pretty, just a basic rainbow blend. I'll tape the shadow layer down and run that through the die cut machine to cut out my shaker window. But here's the bonus. This piece that comes out is the perfect background to stack on the Let's Celebrate for another card project. I'm going to trim this panel down now that I've got my shaker window. I like to do that separately so that I can see exactly how I want to frame it out. And I'll run that through my Gemini Junior off camera. Now I've got my window. Now it's a little warped, and here's what I do. I just take a book that I keep in my craft/dining room, put it in there, stick it under a lamp that I have in my dining room, and move on to the die cutting. I cut out a whole bunch of Let's Celebrate out of some Neenah Solar White Classic Crest in the 110 pound, sprayed on some spray adhesive, holding my breath, right? You don't want to breathe it in, so do it in a well-ventilated area, and then stack and glue, and stack and glue. We're doing this to create some dimension on our greeting. So I'll let that set up and I'll glue the others together for our second card. I'll take a little piece of acetate and add some adhesive to the back of the panel. I'm just going to use some score tape here, just kind of strategically place it all around. You want to use a nice strong adhesive to hold that window in place. Release all the backers And once those are off, you can go ahead and adhere your acetate. And my acetate is just the heat safe acetate from Simon Says Stamp, but any acetate you have laying around, it'll do. And there's your window. Next, it's time to build the shaker. You want to measure out about how much foam you need to fill around the window. Then fold that piece in half. This is why I love this particular foam tape, because you can fold it in half. It's doubled up automatically, which gives you a shaker depth, right, to give clearance for your sequins. The inner part where you're folding right there, that isn't that sticky, so face that into the shaker. That way your sequins are less likely to get super stuck to the foam tape when they are shaking around. And then when you have an odd shape like this, you just work it around, right? You can bend as you go. It's such a great way to fill in with foam a shaped area that you want to be your window. Once you have that down, add any leftover to the panel and then double up some more so that you fill it all around to support the whole shaker, because we're going to pop a backer onto this. I fill in with the sequins, and the backer, which is just off to the side, is cut just a little bit smaller, and you're going to pop that on to seal in the goodness. I don't like to try to do this directly onto card bases because I have never managed to get it centered. So that's why I like to create the shaker as a standalone element, and then that is going to get glued directly to my card base. So I'll prep my card base. This is going to be a US A2. It's going to be 5.5 inches by 4 1/4 wide. And I will add liquid glue to the back of the shaker element and glue that down. And I've got a brick on top to let that set up. And then I'll take my liquid glue, this is Connect glue from Gina K, to put onto my stacked greeting and glue that right into the opening. Isn't that great? So now you've got that shaker window and your greeting overlays and looks like it's floating. So easy to do. To finish off the shaker, I just took some of the same sequins and placed 3 gatherings around in just sort of a strategic location for a little more of that continuation of the shaker element out onto the actual card base. This is another thing I love to do with shakers. I think it's really fun. And you know, we can always use a few more boops. Oh, you didn't think I was going to do it, but boop, I did. And that's the finished shaker. Very easy, simple, basic steps. The coloring could not be easier, right? And it's got kind of a cool look. But then I made a second card with that piece that I cut out. So that serves as a very colorful background for a much more plain card. This one, I created that texture panel by using a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders, and this one is called Tile Mosaic. And those are the finished card projects. So if you have a word and shadow die laying around in your stash, make a shaker. It's really easy to do. Plus, you're going to get a bonus card out of it. And I say, that's a good thing. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you back here with another card project soon. If you want some more ideas for shakers, I got you. Check out the 2 thumbnails below for a few more shaker cards that I've shared here on my channel. I'll see you in those videos.